Okay, cool. Welcome everyone to November's GSC meeting. We have a ton of stuff that we have to get through today. The agenda looks pretty short, but it's super dense, so hopefully we can get through it all. I'm trying to keep it right at an hour, but we have a lot to talk about. Cool, so the first thing is someone from ASCSU is here to talk and give us a quick update.
Okay, cool. I won't take too much of y'all's time because y'all have a lot on your agenda. But my name is Ben. I'm with ASCSU. I'm the Speaker of the Senate. ASCSU stands for the Associated Students of Colorado State University, so it's our student government here. And really was just coming here to say, we're passionate about representing students in ASCSU, and y'all as graduate students, we just want to make sure y'all have a voice in your student fees that you pay and where those are going. And so I'm the Speaker of the Senate, and I was just going to say, if anyone is interested, there are senator seats open currently for graduate students. And what that looks like, we have Senate sessions every Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. That you can come to vote on legislation, propose legislation. So if you're curious about that at all, you can find out more information on our ASCSU website. I'll also be hanging out in the back for a little bit if you have any questions about what that looks like. But I'd love, or you can stop by the ASCSU office, which is just one level down in the LSC. But yeah, I was just here to invite y'all. If you're interested in joining, feel free to talk to me in the back or look on the ASCSU website. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Cool, and we've had some pretty awesome representation recently. We went from 1 to 3 representatives on the Senate. Way to go, peeps. And from what I've heard, they've actually been super appreciative to have the graduate voice there because apparently we've been raising concerns, mostly Jeffrey, which is awesome, and speaking up for the grad population. So he's going to talk about that in a little bit and some things that are coming from the Senate as well. Okay, the next thing we have, I don't know if you all are aware, there's a couple immigration things that have been brought to the floor recently. We were talking with some of the senators and representatives and stuff, and apparently this happens a lot around election time because it's a big topic for them to really drive home. But one of the big ones that Amanda and I have been trying to get as much information as we can about is the Fairness for Highly Skilled Immigrants Act. How many of you have heard of it?
What is it again?
It's the Fairness for Highly Skilled Immigrants Act. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's not fair at all. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to say not partisan. I believe we have someone here to talk about it a little bit more in detail because some of the specialty organizations on campus have taken an interest in it. Let's see if we can get
How about this one?
Ooh, good question. There we go. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Murtaza from Chemistry Department, and I'm talking this on behalf of a friend who has gathered this information. All right. You heard the name. So employment-based green card category, it has different categories for high-skilled workers depending on their skill level. So EB1, EB2, EB3 going to 5, depending on how skilled they are. So I'm not going to go too much into detail because I don't have too much time. So for these high-skilled workers, there's a per country cap, and each country cannot get more than 7%. And it is it's a law from 1965 and in order to keep diversity also. No country cannot get more than 25% of those green cards. So what it's going to do, if it gets passed, which I think it's going to be voted on in December or something like that. So it's going to start removing this per country cap, and what it's going to do, it's going to allot 15% on first year for other nations and other nations other than India and China, which have a lot of highly skilled workers. But it's going to be disadvantage to other nations. And following second year, 10%, and another 10% for third year, in order to clear a problem which is called backlog. And this backlog problem created because there are a lot of very high skilled workers from these two countries who have applied to these H-1B visa, which doesn't have a per country cap, and they are already in the country waiting for green cards. However, this is good, but it's not gonna solve the actual problem. It's gonna create a bigger problem for other nations. Currently, I think 64% of the H-1B goes to one nation, and 47% of them hold a bachelor's degree. I'm not going to play this video because we don't have enough time, which CEO of USCIS doesn't agree with this because it's against the diversity. And in long term, the backlog that currently is because of the H-1B is going to spread to other nations. We need all type of skills from all type of majors, and currently this bill is supported with certain companies that need certain skills. So talented students and workers from other nations is not going to be able to get green card, employment-based green cards. So it's going to hurt U.S. economy in long term. And this is what's going to happen. First year, only 15% for other nations, 10%, 10%, and basically in the next 10 years, other nations are not going to be able to get employment-based green cards, which they're going to have to leave to other countries to work, like for example, other competitors of US. So these are the companies that mainly support this bill, since they need certain skills. There are some arguments that are not actually true in this bill. For example, high-skilled green card from other nationalities remain unused, which is not true. 7% is not 7%. There's unused that goes to two nations that have more requests already. So I believe it's 17% for the single nation right now. And more important, it has already passed in the House. Most of them that the representatives that we have talked to, they didn't know a lot of information about this. They just only passed it, as we know that they most of the time they just signed without getting enough information. So this is a CIS. Sorry. For example, I was arguing that we need all majors from different nations. This is from CIS Center of Immigration Studies. You see that from other nations we have a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, and we need entrepreneurs also, not people who are seeking jobs. And in conclusion, this problem should be solved, but in a right way. So currently, it's in the form of the budget in So there's not enough chance for it to be considered fairly and thoroughly. So we request that it gets out of the budget and get studied and get passed with correct and really fair items. So with that, I think I should be good with time. Yep.
Does anyone have any questions about
Any
that?
questions?
Okay, cool, thank you. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what this means from, oh yeah.
Sorry. So to clarify, which kinds of workers or students typically receive the H-1B visa? Like, are they like permanent workers or visiting students, or which?
H-1B, you can apply. You don't have to have a certain degree like PhD or master's. You can apply for it with a bachelor's degree, and after some time you become a skilled worker. And if you belong to that one single nation, you're gonna stay in that backlog. Does that answer your question? So the problem is here that other nations are gonna not have this opportunity to use that and contribute in the economy of the country. Like for example, I was giving a talk in Boston, and Germany was heavily advertising that you should come and research in our country. So those people are gonna go to other countries, other competitors.
After they've gotten an education in the United States.
Yes, and United States, in average, spends $1 million per PhD student, and so all of those invested money is going to be gone in form of potential intellectual properties from other nations.
Cool, so Amanda and I have talked a little bit with Mary as well as some other international organizations on campus to see what the impact would be for CSU specifically. So to paint a picture, 25% of the graduate students at CSU are international, and then of those, I believe 35% are from India, which is the country that's probably gonna be one of the biggest affected by this. So big picture, what this is doing is there's a 7 to 10 year backlog that currently is happening from India, and what they're gonna be doing is redistributing that across every country that can apply for a green card. So basically they're just redistributing all the backlog across everyone, so everyone is gonna be pushed back. I was talking with a student that is from, I think, Pakistan, and he said that previously he was planning on applying for his green card this year because he has about 2 years left, and that's about how long it takes. With this new thing, it could take about 10 years, so he would have to return back to his home country and wait until eventually they provided his green card, if they provided it. So just so that you all are aware, it's very distressing for a lot of those students that are trying to stay in the country, especially since they've come here to get their education. But it's a big thing, and I would highly encourage you to reach out to any friends or coworkers that you have that are international students. One thing that we have, I believe it's Wednesday.
Yes,
We're going-
Wednesday at 6.
Wednesday at 6. Do we have a
In
room
the
yet?
LSE 304.
Okay. Wednesday at 6 in LSC 304, we're gonna have a letter writing campaign, and we're going to be writing letters to Senator Gardner and Senator Bennett, just expressing what this is gonna impact at CSU. Amanda dug up some really awesome economic data because Senator Gardner is very highly driven by the economy of Colorado. So we have that information that we can provide to you guys if you are willing to come and write letters. We also highly encourage you to gather real stories, because the ones that tear at their heartstrings are the ones that actually have an impact. They don't care a whole lot if you just write a general letter. So anything that you can write that pulls at heartstrings will get past their secretaries and actually get to their desk. So we highly encourage you guys to reach out for those kind of stories. Or if you have one and are willing to share, highly encourage that. Yes?
Don't you recommend to electronically send, since the time is very tight?
Yes, so we also have their emails and their secretary's emails. We're gonna be doing both. Yeah, yeah, Jeff.
Do you have any access to any lobbyists or something?
So we do. I also serve on the board for the National Association of Graduate and Professional Students for the Western region, and we are working collectively to pull together the Western region's ideas on this too. So anything that we collect on Wednesday, I'll be giving to the regional level, which we have a lobbyist that is paid for at the region level that will be in Washington fighting against this. Yeah. Any other questions with that? Yeah.
There might be a lobbyist that's paid by ASCSU. I'm not sure how to ask them if they would like to.
There is a lobbyist for CSU. From what I've been told in the past, they are not extremely active, so that's why we're not necessarily utilizing them. Yeah. But that's what they're paid for. Yeah, so we can reach out to them too. That would be great. Cool. Any other questions about that before we move on? Sweet. Okay, so the next thing is actually with Shar and I.
You can start it off like this.
Okay, cool. So what we've been talking about recently is the budget request. If you guys have noticed, we've talked about in the past, there's the petty cash form. People are starting to use it a lot more, which makes me really excited because that's what we're wanting GSC to be now, is to help fund graduate events. So one thing that we came across recently is in the past, we hadn't received a petty cash application for greater than $50, so we've just been approving it as an officer board. But it has started to creep up in amounts, and we want to talk to you all about that and what we think as far as what we should be able to decide as the officer team or what should be brought to the general council to actually vote on. And I think Shar has some examples of each.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once it recognizes my computer, do you need to hit that thing? It's thinking. Okay. I can just describe it. So we have allocated in our just like general projections of how to distribute the budget, $10,000 a year to student orgs, which is a lot of money, but it's, you know, like a sixth of what we have, and there's no way that we'll ever like spend all the budget that we acquired. You know, there's no way that we'll ever get to $10,000. And so far, this is the projected budget. So far through the organizations, we have spent $420. And so if there's any way that your student org can use some of this money and spend it on like some kind of cause that will help your department or student organization that you're in, that would be cool. We have access to these funds. And so basically what I wanted to talk to you guys about is, do you have any, so we used to have a limit of $50 for petty cash requests, and now since we have so much money in this grad student organization category, we kind of removed that cap. Also, like, partly because we have so much money, and then the other part is because, like Mary Stromberger, when she came in and spoke, said that one of the biggest things that is going wrong with grad students that like we have an issue with and a problem with is we're not having enough opportunities to connect with grad students in our department, outside of our department. We're feeling isolated, and so hopefully this money will help solve that problem. And so far we funded pizza for clubs, we funded coffee at like a writing group meeting, we funded like a bunch of, pizza at a speaker that was invited by the Chem organization. And I was wondering if you guys have any ideas of limits that we should put on this. Should we cap the amount of spending, or are there any restrictions? Should we have restrictions that a group can't request more than X amount of times? What do you guys think about this? Any thoughts? And then two examples of upcoming requests is one is a spa night for the women of a department on campus. So an email went out to all the women of the department, and they were invited to like come over to someone's house, and the money would go towards snacks, towards like facial supplies, like things like that. Does anyone have like any thoughts about that or the amount of requested money? Yeah.
I just know that a lot of this stuff's expensive. I've been working on an idea with my department head, and
Mhm.
I mean, just Qdoba for 50 people is like $800.
Oh, wow.
And so
yeah.
I think, so I was starting to think about some sort of like lab group networking social over winter break, but I mean, the minimum that I should ask would be like $1,000.
Yeah.
Because it'd be silly to offer anything less than that. I mean, if I even have like 40 people show up, I mean, that's gonna cost
It's
that
gonna
much.
be a lot. Yeah. So what does everyone think about, and then, wait, how many people did you say, 40?
I was shooting for around 50, so I've got like 10, 12 professors. Each of them have a couple dozen grad students. We have about 30 people. You invite the office staff because, you got the event
Yeah.
people, the department heads. But that's like $800. You gotta get a place. You wanna do a raffle to get people to come, and it's really cool because it'd be around networking,
Yeah.
working on communication in the department, but like I said, my department head's like, go for $1,000. I'm like, I'll see what happens.
Yeah. So how does everyone feel about that? So we have about 3,000 students in the grad school, and this would be, you said about $1,000 total for the event?
Yeah, for about 50 cents.
Okay, yeah, for about 50 people, does that seem fair? Like, what is everyone's thoughts?
I'd like to make a comment. This money's that we just suddenly got is from ASCSU, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So if we don't spend the money by the end of the year, it's kind of showing that we don't need that much money. So we should definitely spend this by the end of the year, so they
It's
know
like,
that.
yeah, budgets and corporations, but if
Yeah.
you don't spend it, they're gonna reduce it because you don't.
Yeah.
need it.
I say, like, anyone who's willing to orchestrate that event and put it on, like, give them the money.
Okay.
And don't let it go to waste, don't cap it off, like, just
Yeah, I would
do
take
it.
10%.
Yeah.
But
people in the future, in future years, more departments will be able to do that.
She
and
wanted
it
to go
won't
college
be
level,
like-
I'm like, that's
Yeah.
thousands of dollars, that's
Yeah.
probably too much. So I was like, departmental, you're successful, stick around for a few more years, college
Yeah.
gets it next.
And it's not trivial to organize this.
No.
Yeah.
Is there a process if we say, God forbid, run out of money, that we could ask for more? Because
So, an interesting tidbit / caveat with this is we set aside $10,000 for graduate organizations. There's also another $10,000 that we set aside for professional development. So if a organization decides that they want to have it professional development style, we have additional $10,000. So collectively, there is $20,000 set aside for organizations
Yeah,
to
so
request.
I say all in,
Okay.
like, no caps, just anyone who wants to orchestrate events, just do it.
Mhm.
And
As long as there's
But
a
should we
good
vote on it, or
possible-
just those five?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
question.
what was
If there's,
that?
is there like a limit where we start voting for it in the monthly meeting? or-
That's what you brought up, that's a
That's-
great
That's
thought.
what I brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the next step. What Shar and I talked about was potentially capping it at $150. So if it's something that is a $50 request, that would be between the VP of Finance and the President to approve. If it got to $150, that's when it would go to the officer group. If it went above that, that would be brought to the entire council to vote on.
I think that's pretty low.
Yeah, I think that's
I
low
think
for.
250, 500, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Maybe-
said it conservatively because we didn't want to
Yeah.
overstep, but yeah, that's something we wanted to talk about with you guys. That was just our initial projection of where we thought you all should be involved.
You've had your hand up for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, so I agree with all of that, and I think if you go to the trouble of organizing something for a large group of people, you should be able to do it. So, but I was wondering if you could kind of go over the rules and tidbits for using the money, because like, for example, our department, we go to our national conference in April. It's in DC, and we always like have like a kind of a similar like networking event where we invite like previous alums of our program and other PhD students from other programs and try and get intermingling across universities and things like that.
Yeah.
It's expensive, and so we get $1,000 from our department, but like we don't feel like we can apply for extra money for this because we know that there will be a bar involved, and even if we have like students buying their own drinks and things like that, like it's kind of blurred lines of can we apply for money to like be able to like reserve the space, because like our department, you can't use their money to like put down a reservation or like anything like that. So there's kind of like
Okay.
we have money but we can't use it in the way we need it. So
Yeah, so I think a lot of the rules from your department will also apply to the GSC funding, because it's all lumped together in something called state allocated funds. So we can't spend it on alcohol, we can't spend it on prizes, you can't buy flowers, you can't buy things from Costco or like stores with a group membership. There's a list of rules, and I have a link to it on the petty cash tab if you want to go to it, and then the Slice office knows a a lot more than I do, and they have a lot more information on it. So yeah, if you, I guess like if there was like a more specific request like that, you could bring it up with me, and I could like talk to our accountant at the grad school and try to get things figured out. I know travel is I haven't done anything with travel yet, I'm still new, so I could like try to talk to him and like figure that out. And then yeah, as far as like specific like expenditures, if you want to know like, hey, can we buy like can we spend this money on alcohol, like the answer to that is no, but like if you wanted to like look it up, there's resources online for that.
Yeah, it was more like reserving a space or like putting money down towards something that we don't actually
Yeah.
have yet, you know.
To my knowledge, we cannot do that with the funds that we have, but I can get in touch with our accountant and get back to you for sure. But they wanted an invoice and then to pay it after the date for everything so far. But I can double check for you.
There is some interesting caveats with that too, like if you set up a contract, we're allowed to pay a contract, so
Okay.
we can talk to you more about that.
Cool. Yeah. Any other points? Yeah.
This is kind of just a spitballing idea, like
Okay.
if $10,000 are kind of reserved for professional development, like could some amount go to like a GSC sponsored like travel scholarship or something?
So that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That's great.
Did you had a question?
Yeah, so it seems like most of the ideas floating around are more about experiences than things. Would it be okay to request like money to buy science demos so that we can go and do outreach?
Yeah. There's
So
been
tangible things are okay too.
Yes.
Yeah, there's money going towards an outreach event. There's a student who is renting a truck to carry these like specimens to an elementary school so they can like bring all these animal bones to an elementary school. So that's you can definitely spend it on like tangible things. There's a group that's looking into getting stickers for their organization, their new organization, to kind of like advertise themselves. So yeah, you can definitely spend it on things like t-shirts or promotional materials or like an experience or anything. Yeah.
This is kind of a little different than sort of the food and community stuff that we've been talking about.
Okay.
But the economics grad students are and are trying to put together a little food bank thing within our department. Is there funding we could get through the GSC for something like that, even if it's like $100, just to get us
Funding
through
going
some
towards
survivals?
donation.
Yeah.
I love the idea. I'll have to check, but I haven't seen anything against it.
It's a little funky, so you can't distribute direct money, but if we, for example, for a can drive, purchase the cans and donated the cans, that's fine. We just can't do a direct monetary donation. There's a lot of loopholes with
Yeah. Any other questions or comments about this? Okay.
Okay, cool.
Good discussion.
Oh.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what's the time span for this money just to spend?
Oh, it all disappears in June, and then we get it renewed. So if we don't spend it, we lose it. We can't roll it over. That's a good question.
I would prefer that we spend it, most of it by mid-April, because at that point they'll be making the budget for next year and writing the budget into the constitution for ASCSU. So I want it to appear that we're running out so that they choose to keep it the same, if not increase it for next year, is my goal. Yeah.
So if we have some big idea, like I mentioned before, what do you guys need from us? Like a one-page summary with an itemized budget? Or?
Yeah, it's a link on our website. So you just go to the GSC website, click on the petty cash tab, and fill it out. It's a Google form. It should take you like 30 seconds. It's like just like asking like just basic questions about what you'll be spending it on, and then I will email you whether or not like you get immediately approved or whether I have any questions. It should be straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah.
How have you how have people found out about like the funding that's available through GSC? Like, do you come to a meeting and you hear that we have money, or?
This is
Yeah.
actually an announcement that we have money. This is,
Okay.
We should probably announce that. We have money now.
Yeah.
The ASCSU voted a couple weeks ago, and my position in the cabinet was approved, as well as the transfer of funds. So they're working on my HR paperwork right now, and I think I'm starting this week. But as soon as that happens, we will have access to all of that funding, which is awesome. Yes.
So could you add that to the next newsletter so we have it all written down formally
Sure.
somewhere?
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've been trying to send out announcements as well. And so far, most of the people who have requested, it's been a word of mouth thing. Like they show up to these meetings and hear about it, or one of us has reached out to them and mentioned like, hey, there's funding if you need it. So we need to do a better job at getting the word out.
I have a question for you. Is there a department rep for your department?
I don't know. I literally don't know. Okay.
Oh, this
Yeah.
No. Just because I think we get newsletters and things, so it should probably be spread pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, and we just happened too, so.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
we'll do a better job of explicitly saying it now, like, before it was kind of, we're still voting on it, we'll see,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Yeah.
On top of that, we've made some partnerships with the grad school, which we should have before, but anyway.
Makes a lot of sense.
So we're talking with Lena, who is the marketing person. So you guys actually probably get a lot of emails from her. She's the one, when you get from the grad school, it comes from her. But we're gonna start marketing through her as well, and she wants to do that, so we're gonna start pushing that stuff a lot more, which is awesome that she's willing to help us with that. Going back to, oh, sorry, John. Okay, going back to your original question of the travel awards. So, because of this, we have actually allocated a lot more money to travel awards. So there will still be the $10,000 that comes from the grad school. On top of that, I think we budgeted.
Oh, I have it written down. Sorry. Yeah. $24,000. Or yeah.
So it's
That's
no
what I have
longer
written
going
down.
to be the $250 awards for the application cycle. We're actually going to have, or we're planning on having tiers of awards. So there will be the $250. I believe there's a $500 and a $1,000 award. So if you're going international, it actually helps instead of
Paying for half of a flight. Yeah.
So what we are working on right now is, I think Shar and I are going to be working on updating the travel award a little bit to base it on the tiers. So if you are applying for a big O reward, there will be maybe an additional essay question because we are getting a lot more money than the $250. But that is something that will be coming out soon and should be announced really soon. So we're really excited about that.
And if anyone has any like strong feelings about this or wants to help organize the travel award, you can volunteer through us.
Dylan.
So I was just curious if there's any outlook on the future of funding. So you said we're probably going to get it next year, but is there any point where it's going to pass from ASCSU voting on giving us money to us just getting our student fees for the grad council?
So not quite getting student fees for the grad council, but what is going to be happening at the end of this year, and part of why I'm on the cabinet, is we're going to be writing it into the budget, and from everything that I understand, once it's new forever, unless something dramatic happens. So I'll be pushing to have more each year added to that amount, but it will be for sure next year. It's not a question of having to go through all these hoops again.
But it basically can change with any new president in a sense. So
It will not change with every new president.
but it could in that sense, right? Because
So from what I understand in talking to Tristan, for them to change something in the budget has to require a significant reason for that being removed, and they have to vote throughout the entire Senate on it. So it would have to be something that would be very formal, and they would have to basically say, we don't like grad students anymore and don't want to fund this. Yeah, but hypothetically, yes, it could. Yeah.
Would you mind, like maybe in an email or something, or in the next newsletter, like outlining, the GSC budget or what?
Yeah, I have it online on a Google sheet, and I would be happy to work with Savannah, our website designer, to like just put that budget on, so whenever I change something like this club spent $50, it'll like upload it in real time, and so you can see like how our spending's changing. I'd be happy to put that on the website if everyone thinks that's a good idea. That's a really, I was thinking about the same thing. I want a lot of transparency so that everyone knows where the money is going, how much is left. Thanks for bringing that up.
Any other questions with budget? Cool. Okay. Oh, so just to get it official, Shar and I will approve $50 and under. Where do you guys feel comfortable with officer voting cutoff versus like when do we need to bring it to you all? 500.
500. Okay. Sweet.
I will add that to our constitution. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All in favor.
All those in favor, raise your hand.
All
Any opposed?
Sweet. Motion passes.
Awesome. Motion passes.
Okay.
Perfect. Country try.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that kind of led into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is that the position is now official, which is awesome. So I will be working directly with the cabinet members now, which is really exciting, and I think going to lead to some pretty awesome partnerships moving forward. So I'll be updating you guys with whatever happens there. Probably in the weekly emails if anything really important comes out. Otherwise, I'll just bring it to the general council meetings as far as that goes. And then I'll be working with the senators a lot more directly, which is really exciting too.
What's your formal position?
It's the Deputy Director of Graduate Affairs. Yeah.
Can I leave a comment?
Yes.
We actually used to have this role. Anyone here last year? So there used to be a guy that does it, but now instead of an extra person that is hired by, I guess, the president, our president is automatically also that role, since they do something very similar anyways. So
yeah, and it eliminated a in-between person, because in the past it would be I would have to talk to them and he would talk to Senate and talk to other people, and there was a lot of miscommunication. And now the big idea is that this position is actually elected by graduate students instead of selected by the undergrad president. So it actually should represent the graduate voice. Hopefully it represents the graduate voice. But yeah. Okay, cool. For the next thing, we have some Senate updates that Jeffrey's going to present.
all right, I'm just gonna give a general just spiel about this. So currently we have 3 senators, I guess.
Yep.
I only know another person. Is anyone else a senator in here? No? Well, I've never met the 3rd person, so hopefully she's around. But anyways, so what the Senate does is literally, senators can help write bills, or anyone can just go to ASCSU and ask for help to write bills. And bills are typically either stances, or it's like some, like I guess, like a climate stance, like, so like, oh, we do not like support this, or like in general as like a university and stuff. Or they can also fund things through the Senate discretionary fund, which guess this year they have around $120,000. So these things can fund random things. So like which we vote every week. There's things such as like things ranging from like helping the Bee Club fund, have some startup money to like buy bees and stuff, or yeah, I guess.
Definitely. Okay.
So, question.
Yeah.
So what is what are our goals this year for grad student council? I just want to refresh it, because like in ASCSU, like they think very differently. They think very undergrad, like in some way. So they care about U+2, which I guess it affects all of us. So they've been like campaigning and things. They also have been, sorry for like cutting in, but like they've also been fighting to try to like make drinking and noise complaint and smoking not a felony and stuff. And then we're also working on like parking like problems, which we can get affected by that too. So yeah, what I guess that was the ASCSU president's agenda, but like
yeah. So for this year, the officer team and I came up with, we wanted GSC to become a hub for graduate students. So it didn't seem like there was a connecting point for graduate students or organizations in the past. So we wanted to become that hub where we could distribute graduate information. And then we really wanted to increase the connection across campus. So a lot of times within departments, there's great connection. It gets weaker as you go to the college level, and then the university level is pretty weak. I think significantly weak with the connections across departments. So that was our big push, was to increase that connection across the university. Was there another one?
We each have our personal.
And we each have our personal things that we've been going for, those individual committees that we've been doing. So increasing social service and stuff like that. Or one of ours is also parking and international student awareness and stuff like that. That's been our big push for this year. Yeah. Cool.
And I think, too, it's important that if you feel like there's an issue that's directly affecting you as a graduate student, that maybe the officer board we're not necessarily aware of, that you bring it to us. And we will do everything that we can to bring awareness to all of the graduate students. So.
Yeah, like the Immigration Act, because that was brought up to us and we were able to meet with them and get stuff done. So that's really one of the big things that we wanted to do this year. Cool. Okay, so I'll put those into more formal words and send them out to everyone when I do the monthly email too. And just have it so that you all have that in writing, and I'll update the Constitution as well so that that's actually in there. Cool. Okay, next thing is fun stuff. So some different events that we have going on. So one idea that I was presented with was a Friendsgiving type thing for Thanksgiving, because we're grad students and not all of us can actually travel home because it's really expensive and we have research to do. So the toxicology department actually came to me and said that they thought it would be awesome to do a potluck Friendsgiving type thing and potentially focus on international cultures too, and having international cultures bring in their different dishes and basically just having an awesome potluck during Thanksgiving for those that can't go home. I think this is amazing, and GSC can totally fund it and fund the room reservations and potentially even food and getting that stuff up and going. So I am really excited about that. If you're interested in that, talk to them because they're really excited. And yeah.
Which day?
We have,
Yeah.
we haven't finalized that stuff yet, but
Yes.
when we do,
We will.
it will be in an email.
Yes. Yes.
So just one thing, just so you know, the Office of International Programs is also planning something on the exact same day. So yeah, and it's a kind of an international event, so people are going to have a potluck and stuff like that. And there is also another kind of Friendsgiving the week before.
Okay.
I believe it's the Thursday before. But there is also another one that was recently posted on Facebook that they're going to have it on Thursday, like the day of Thanksgiving.
Cool.
International,
The Office of International Programs.
the week before
And the day of Thanksgiving. Sweet. And I think that's also funded by FCIC, Fort Collins International Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we can definitely partner with them. I would love to have grad students involved in that. Sweet. Okay. Next thing that we got is some other events. So we have the grad student showcase. How many of you are presenting on the grad student showcase? Sweet. Okay. So there's a couple different volunteer opportunities. We have a table that we're going to be hosting at the event. So basically it's just sitting there and telling people about GSC. So if you would like to do that, I would love to get your names for that. We have pens and candy and stuff to hand out, so hopefully people come and talk to you. Yeah. And then the other side of that is the grading of the posters. So if you would like to do that, it's actually a lot of fun to read a bunch of people's research, and then we're going to give awards at the end of it. So if you would like to do that, please come talk to me about that too, because I'm really excited about that. Right now the officer team is going to be grading a lot of stuff, so we would love to have other involvement too. Yeah.
Can you do that even if you're presenting?
You can do that even if you're presenting. We'll just make sure that you do not create your own poster. Yeah. Cool. Okay, and then talked about the Friendsgiving. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the end of semester departmental coffee. Do you guys remember, how many of you were here for that last year? Oh, man. Sweet. Awesome. Cool. So last year we limited the number of departments that could get coffee because we were limited on funds, but it is no longer a thing. So we are going to offer coffee to whatever department would like to join. So I'm going to leave a piece of paper up here, and if you would like to have coffee for your department, please come write your name and your department, and we'll plan out our budget for that to have coffee provided. We're thinking of doing Panera this year instead of Starbucks, which I think they have a lot better coffee and are a lot easier to work with on a large scale. So if anyone has opinions for or against that, let me know. Yeah.
Question, what is departmental coffee?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I just assumed. What we're going to be doing is the week before finals, so dead week, we will be providing coffee for your department. So you can host it in your department's front office or wherever your graduate students tend to hang out. And basically it's just a social time for grad students to come and grab some free coffee.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's a local place called Human Being that does the same kind of like carry out thing, and that's better than Panera and
Let's do Human Being.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
With the little espresso beans too.
I always ask for 2, and they're like, okay.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes, since we're not supporting, what could we just all extend it to, I don't know, a plate of cookies as well with the credit department or something?
Yeah.
Money just falls from the sky.
We could definitely do that. Yeah. Like pastries or breakfast pastries or something.
Yeah, I mean, still keep it cheap, but I mean, something else in coffee.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we're just going for different options here, we have a lot of people in our department that don't drink coffee, so like having like tea or hot chocolate or something like that, a different alternative
I like
to
that.
coffee.
Yeah, definitely. Who's been to Human Being recently? Do you know if they have?
You got everything. I don't know about
Okay.
the catering stuff. I don't know
Okay.
it's smaller than
I'll reach out to them and see. Cool. Cool. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. Real quick, is there anyone that serves on a committee that has updates from that committee that they would like to share? Yeah.
Well, I was just talking with Stella earlier this evening, and we are going to be looking at linking the psychology department with the human development department, which is a mentorship for undergrads. So trying to increase that connection.
That's fantastic. And I have a slight update on Della's project. So if you guys remember, her sub-project is mentoring undergrad students and having a grad student buddy, basically. We have found a way to fund it, which is really exciting. So there will be potentially a small stipend that will be provided to the grad student for mentoring an undergrad student.
For all of MUGS, through the psych department.
Not through the psych department. It'll be through Della's whatever she's setting up right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So more information about that will be coming soon, but I think that's really exciting. Cool. Sweet. Any other? Yeah.
Just, I mean, not presenting for my committees right now, but just a question to all the people in the room. Since there have been some ideas about maybe increasing these bike stations on campus, do you feel there's a need for that?
Like bike parking or
Either
air
bike
pump?
rides or bike pumps, I mean
Oh,
air
cool.
pumps or stuff like that? Or do you feel there's enough right now on campus?
Yeah.
I don't even know where they are.
Covered bike parking would be amazing.
Oh
So you
my
don't sit on a wet seat all the time.
Wow, you're so cool.
Yeah. I think more grad students are making they're super stuffed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite. Sweet. Anything else? Were there any new members tonight?
Austin.
Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. So, we'll grab your names in a minute. But, all those in favor of inducting the new members, raise your hand. Any opposed? Oh, inducted. Okay, come give me your names so I can have those written down too.
I have one.
Yeah.
So those of you that are on my committee for CSU Speaks, I feel like there's a lot of new faces today, but I'm going to be sending out this call for abstracts for the event that we're hosting in the spring called CSU Speaks. Come talk to me if you're interested. Essentially what I want to do is I want to have graduate students, postdocs, professors give a 10, 15-minute talk. We are rehearsing it in New Belgium. For the public, we're going to have, obviously, there's going to be beer there because it's at New Belgium. And then what I want to do is I need to distribute this call for abstracts out to all of the departments across the university. And so I'm probably going to call on a lot of you guys to give that to your departments or your college, and because we really want to distribute this across the university, not specific for the College of Natural Sciences per se. So if you're interested in helping me with the event, come talk to me after. I know we're going to probably break out into our committee's next meeting, so maybe I can update you then. But yeah.
Cool. One last thing. I'm sorry. I promise I won't be too long. If you have a social science research project where you need participants, please reach out to us because we are starting to advertise that as well. I don't know if you guys saw in the newsletter, we actually have Della's project, which is really cool. But we are going to start being a source for people to advertise their research through. So if you have people or your own project needs to be advertised, please do that. Okay, cool. If you need, or if you want to have a copy for your department, come put it up here. If you're a new member, come give me your name. Have a great week.
I can help you guys with
Oh yeah, volunteering too.
fellow judge too.